I've talked a few times now about the fact that I got a lactation consultant before I even had my son. I found one, I hired one, I booked in a session following the birth. I did all this before I gave birth. And I've had a few questions like this one around how I found my lactation consultant. And it was a little bit of a journey. So I started off by asking my pediatrician for a recommendation, but they recommended me a lactation consultant. And when I called up this business, it was a little disheartening because I was asking questions like what a consultation would include, what a session would look like. And I don't know if they had like a salesperson manning the phones. I don't know what the situation was, but the person I spoke to seemed to know absolutely nothing about what that session might look like. And I'm someone who very much goes off of the vibes of a person. And I was kind of like, I'm not vibing with this company. I'm not sure it's for me. Parallel to this happening, I've been advised to get a doula, to get support in the hospital. And so I had gone to a doula of a friend of mine who came highly, highly recommended. But it was a friend who had done an at-home birth, right? So very different to a C-section. And I called this doula up and I was like, hey, I'd love to have a doula for my C-section. I've heard that it would be helpful to have. And she was very puzzled. I now understand why she was puzzled, because she was like, what exact support are you looking for in your C-section? C-sections are very straightforward procedures, and you'll probably only be allowed to have one person in the operating room with you, which ended up being the case. So after speaking with her, I kind of shared that one of my biggest nervousnesses was around the breastfeeding thing. And she said, well, look, I'm on holiday when you're around your due date. Instead of having a doula for the surgery, why don't you consider a postpartum doula? And she pointed me in the direction of someone else who she said was wonderful and brilliant, who specialized in postpartum doulaism, you know what I mean. So I called up this woman, I spoke with her, and she definitely passed the vibe check. I just really got a good energy from her. I liked that she came recommended through this network that came from my friend who I really, really trust. And she helps women with breastfeeding, she helps women with night nursing, so she seemed like she had a really good skill set. And I've got to say, I think I've shared this before, but my husband, before we hired her, was very much like, why would you need a lactation consultant? Why wouldn't I have done this for centuries without help? And after seeing the journey that we've been on with breastfeeding, I think he has so much more respect now that it's not just this skill that it's not like an innate thing that you just know. Sometimes you do need a little bit more support. And he was completely blown away by our postpartum doula. He learned so much, he got so much value from her. And that's how I found her. If you're in Miami and you want a recommendation, let me know. Happy to share her details if she's happy for me to. Hope that helps.